let's picture the gritty, completely unforgiving streets of New York City. The rain is just pouring down hard on this dark, narrow alleyway, perfectly setting the scene. We're looking at a lonely, totally isolated Peter Parker. He is deeply exhausted, physically and mentally drained to his absolute core, fighting basic low-level street crime just to keep his little corner of the neighborhood safe. At first glance, this seems like exactly the refreshing back-to-basics story we've all been desperately waiting for. It feels like a complete grounded reset after years of massive space battles and crazy magic. But actually, scratch that. This apparent simplicity, it is actually the greatest disguise ever constructed. I am going to break down exactly how this seemingly small street-level story is secretly hiding the most massive multiverse collapse imaginable. At the end of his last journey, Peter lost absolutely everything. The safety nets, completely, permanently gone. There is no multi-billion-dollar Stark technology to seamlessly bail him out of a jam anymore. There is no high-tech Avengers compound to retreat to when things get overwhelming. And worst of all, absolutely nobody remembers who he is. He is literally just a young man struggling to pay his rent in a tiny, freezing, rundown apartment. We are witnessing a deeply personal, remarkably human existence here. We're watching a hero try to painfully rediscover his entire identity, scraping by on mere pennies just to protect innocent people. It's a heavy, heavy burden. And this brings us to the ultimate misdirection. See, we naturally crave an intimate, character-driven story filled with authentic emotional struggles, right? Especially after stories that constantly, relentlessly escalate the stakes to the absolute edge of the galaxy. Because we so desperately expect and want this grounded story, we just easily settle right into that comfortable rhythm. We watch him face local thugs, we worry about his bank account right alongside him, and we completely buy into the illusion that this chapter of his life exists entirely in a vacuum. It is such a brilliant narrative trick. It uses our deep, inherent desire for a personal neighborhood story to completely blind us to the gargantuan cosmic multiversal saga that is unfolding just off screen. So let's dive into this for a second. Why isolate one of our most popular, most capable heroes during the exact moment reality itself is under attack? Why ground him in cheap apartments and 30 back alleys when the cosmic stakes have literally never been higher? Well, the answer is completely mind-bending. He was never truly isolated at all. We just haven't been explicitly shown the connection yet. The narrative is so carefully hiding a massive, terrifying truth just outside Peter's direct line of sight, waiting patiently for the perfect, absolutely devastating moment to completely shatter his reality. Section 5. The Unseen Threat. Here is the core twist of this entire saga. The greatest multiversal disaster in history is happening at the exact same moment Peter is stopping petty muggers in Queens. While he's patrolling those quiet, rain-slicked streets of New York, a profoundly different scene is unfolding just beyond the fragile boundaries of reality. The greatest heroes across countless dimensions are already engaged in a brutal, agonizingly desperate war against a threat beyond anything ever seen before. We're talking literal gods, cosmic entities, and legendary champions fighting and falling. Entire universes are violently colliding, and the very fabric of dimensions is breaking apart in this catastrophic cosmic storm. It's absolute chaos. So the crucial point here is that this dual narrative structure is nothing short of masterful. We are being given two completely wildly different perspectives of the exact same catastrophe. On one side of the coin, you have epic, universe-shattering warfare, where reality itself is bleeding out into the void. On the other side, you have a forgotten teenager trying to keep a single city block safe from a guy with a switchblade. Separating the cosmic war from the street-level hero doesn't make the story smaller. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It makes the impending doom feel infinitely heavier, because we, the audience, know the sheer terrifying horror that is coming, while Peter just remains blissfully unaware. Step by step, this mystery slowly, almost imperceptibly, bleeds into Peter's world. It doesn't just explode all at once in some massive flash of light. No, it creates a creeping, unsettling dread that just gets under your skin. First, it starts as whispers, strange rumors echoing through the criminal underworld and the dark streets of New York. Then, unexplained scientific anomalies begin to manifest globally. The sky distorts with these unnatural, sickening colors. Satellite communications just black out without any warning. And ordinary people begin to sense a deep, primal danger without even understanding its source. Finally, it escalates to the point of absolute no return. Multiversal visitors actually arrive on our Earth. Now, these desperate survivors from other dimensions don't arrive as conquering villains or grand saviors. Not at all. They crash into our world bearing horrifying, unbelievable news. They explain to a completely overwhelmed Peter that Earth's mightiest heroes, the literal gods, the sorcerers, the super soldiers that humanity usually depends on to save the day, are completely gone. They aren't dead, but they are entirely absent. They've traveled deep into the chaotic heart of the multiversal conflict to try and stop it. So there is no backup. The Avengers compound is totally empty. There is absolutely no cavalry coming to save New York this time. It's just terrifying. This is where the tension hits an agonizing breaking point. Strange, jagged fractures begin appearing in the sky above the city. It looks exactly like cracked glass on a massive planetary scale. Reality itself starts aggressively malfunctioning. The multiversal survivors deliver this chilling, hopeless message. Universes are colliding. Entire worlds are disappearing. And unless an absolute miracle happens, Peter's universe is next on the chopping block. Let that sink in. This is a devastating, soul-crushing realization. Peter isn't built for cosmic multidimensional warfare, right? His entire identity is built around being a friendly neighborhood hero. Yet suddenly his neighborhood is trapped directly at ground zero of the apocalypse. Section 11. The apocalypse arrives. The unseen threat finally drops its disguise completely. It reveals itself to the world in a way that absolutely cannot be undone or ignored. Imagine this. Ordinary New Yorkers stop dead in their tracks. Their morning commutes are abruptly halted as they look upward in sheer, paralyzing disbelief. Familiar clouds distort into impossible, unnatural geometric shapes. The atmosphere violently changes color. And then, directly visible, right there in the heavens, an entirely different, massive world appears directly overhead. A second planet hangs above Earth like a giant bruised scar across reality. Panic spreads instantly. World governments are completely paralyzed. The greatest scientists have absolutely no answers. It's a total nightmare. This perspective is exactly why the grounded, street-level setup was so incredibly vital to the story. For the first time, the collapse of the multiverse isn't some distant, abstract concept being debated by genius billionaires and mystical sorcerers safely tucked away in a sanctum. No, it is witnessed firsthand by frightened families clutching each other on the sidewalk, by children staring up at the sky in absolute terror, by everyday citizens flooding the avenues in a blind panic. Experiencing this cosmic horror purely through the eyes of the ordinary, powerless people on the ground makes the sheer scale of the disaster incredibly, viscerally terrifying. Section 14. A hero for the people. When everyone else is hyper-focused on winning an impossible, galaxy-spanning cosmic war, we finally get to see Peter's true reaction to the end of the world. His role isn't to fly into deep space and punch a multiversal incursion out of existence. I mean, he physically cannot do that. Amidst the absolute panic, his mission becomes something far more human and honestly far more deeply vital. His greatest strength has never actually been his physical strength. It's his unyielding, stubborn compassion. He focuses strictly on the ground level. He's pulling trapped people from collapsing skyscrapers as reality literally unravels around them. He's guiding terrified civilians to blinding dust and chaos. He's carrying hope when hope seems mathematically impossible. He becomes the literal human shield between ordinary people and absolute annihilation. But as entire sections of major cities vanish into nothingness and the foundational laws of physics just break apart, a horrifying truth sets in. The enemy is simply too powerful. The dimensional incursions are accelerating way beyond control. Every single attempted solution by the cosmic heavyweights has catastrophically failed. This right here is the absolute emotional breaking point of the story. Peter has to stop, look around the unimaginable destruction, and realize the hardest truth any hero can ever face. He cannot save the universe. Some disasters absolutely cannot be prevented. Victory becomes a physical impossibility. Mere desperate survival becomes the only achievable goal left. When reality reaches the point of total, irreversible collapse, the mission pivots entirely. Not everyone can be saved. Instead, a final, desperate emergency strategy emerges. It's the ultimate evacuation life raft before the universe blinks out of existence forever. A select, very small group must be transported to a tiny pocket of safety just to preserve the memory of humanity. And Peter stands right there on the absolute front lines. The guy with such notoriously bad luck that he couldn't even make his rent on time. He is now acting as the final, desperate shield for humanity. He's holding back the literal apocalypse just long enough to ensure the civilians he loves can reach that life raft before the clock hits zero. Section 18, the masterful reversal. Now, the cleverest part of this entire narrative structure is how it flawlessly executes a masterful reversal. It's a complete, brilliant flip of the formula we've seen in almost every previous major event. Let's map out this exact evolution because it's fascinating. In the past, Peter was usually the one accidentally opening multiversal doors or causing the rift, only to be pushed aggressively to the back seat when the real cosmic heavyweights showed up to fix it. But this time, the script is completely flipped. In Phase 1, he is deliberately completely absent from the opening cosmic battles. He's completely grounded in reality. In Phase 2, as reality collapses, he steps up as the sole, vital protector of the civilian evacuation. This careful, deliberate positioning leads perfectly into Phase 3, making him the single most vital piece, the absolute essential savior in the final multiversal war that is yet to come. This incredible narrative arc is an absolute masterclass in slow burn storytelling. We deliberately start with a remarkably intimate, quiet tale of a lonely, forgotten teenager who was just struggling with the mundane details of everyday life. But hidden entirely behind that grounded struggle, the massive foundation was being poured for the most spectacular ending imaginable. We watch a young man witness the death of a universe, protect his people through impossible darkness, survive the literal collapse of reality itself, and ultimately emerge from the ashes. And he doesn't emerge as a secondary sidekick, but as one of the most important central heroes destined to shape the future of whatever reality comes next. So when you step back and look at all these incredibly diverse pieces fitting together seamlessly, the sheer awe and scale of this realization is truly staggering. When the sky finally shatters for good, when the untouchable cosmic gods fall from grace, and when countless realities completely collapse into a cold, empty void, who will be the one left standing in the rubble, refusing to quit to save us all? The answer has been swinging right in front of us, in a cheap, rundown apartment in Queens the entire time.